Welcome, welcome, welcome. Everybody come on in the room. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope y'all are ready to talk about some finances, financial literacy, and also talk about taxes. That's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about these taxes, income tax that many people in America pay. That's the topic for today. I'm excited to get started. Let's get this ball rolling. All right. Good morning to each and every person on today. I am Coach Steele, and you are here with Coach Steele's Finance Training. I'm excited to have you on today when we talk about taxes today. And if you are tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, of course, there's two ways to tune in, whether you are on YouTube or whether you are on Facebook Live. And let me get my chat section open up. That way I can communicate with you all effectively. We have from Yvette Steele saying hello. Hello to my lovely wife, Yvette, who stands by my side through thick and thin. All right. So, as you are tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, we are live on YouTube. We are also live on Facebook. And you can watch these Saturday morning live training sessions, financial literacy sessions on either platform. But if you do watch it on Facebook, I do still require and demand and request, and I thank you for also subscribing to the YouTube channel. So doesn't cost you anything. Go to my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our YouTube community is growing, and I'm excited about that, and we're continue to thrive and survive over there in the YouTube area. And so we have a lot going on with Coach Steele's Finance Training, a lot of great content that's coming out, a lot of content and things that you may not have been able to attend, but I'm still going to put the content out, whether I've spoken in different places, whether I've taught at different places. I'm going to put the content on the YouTube channel so that you can still enjoy it and engage in different things that I'm doing when I'm not live on Saturday mornings. And there are other platforms that I'm on during the week as well. Sometimes there's another platform called Game Changers. I'm usually on that platform speaking about financial literacy or biblical principles when it comes to finances on, I believe it's every second Wednesday at 12:30 noon. I'm sorry. I'll put this information out better another day. And then there's another platform every Thursday. We talk about financial literacy on Facebook, and I usually share it to my page. So definitely stay tuned and stay connected to my YouTube. And you can also follow me on Facebook. But happy to have you here. I'm Coach Steele, and you're here tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Every Saturday morning, we're going live 9 a.m. to talk about finances. And so, yes, there is content that's put on the YouTube channel throughout the week. So it's good if you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I hope everyone is doing well this Saturday morning. And make sure that you are checking in with me. If you're listening and tuning in on this morning, make sure that you are hitting the chat section on YouTube, and in the comment section on Facebook. Tell me good morning. Let me know how you're doing on this beautiful Saturday morning. It feels nice outside. I just went out there and went for almost about a 3-mile morning walk / jog. The jog part was a little difficult, but guess what? I made it, and I'm here in time to talk to you all as well. And so when we look at the subject of taxes, this is a very, very interesting subject. There's so many different types of taxes in America. So the subject matter could be extremely broad when we talk about the subject of taxes. And so I really want to localize it and kind of get a little more specific on what I'm talking about when we talk about taxes. And so on today, I'll keep it simple and I'll only deal with income taxes. And so when we look at the fact of taxes, there are so many people in America that have to pay taxes. And then there's a good number of people in America that don't pay taxes. And it all depends on your personal situation. Of course, if you're a veteran and you receive a VA check or direct deposit monthly, that income is not taxable, which is a great thing. And veterans and the way we sacrifice and put our bodies on the line, and not just our bodies, but our mental health on the line, and all the other things that go along with those sacrifices. As a veteran, I'm glad that they do not tax that VA income as well. And so a lot of veterans who have different disabilities and issues need all of that income to help them manage and take care of themselves, maintain themselves. But anyway, so I want to deal with income taxes today. Of course, I love real estate, so we could talk about property tax. We could talk about sales tax. There's a lot of tax information going on. There's there's voting going on, a lot of political talk when it comes to taxes and how different people will be taxed. A lot of that is in the air right now. So this is going to be a great conversation to talk about taxes and how it affects us as average people in America, how it affects everyone. But I want to deal with income taxes today. And I'm not a great historian, and I will not pretend to be. And who knows, I might call up one of my tax friends and have them jump in on this live also to add more quality to it. But we'll see how that goes. But when we look at taxes, just to give a brief history or understanding of some taxes, and once again, feel free to jump in the chat section. I might have some historians in here that have some more information than I have to bring. And it's fine because we want to have a conversation about financial literacy. We want to make this conversation the norm. And I've always been fine with talking about uncomfortable things, which of course money can be, or opening up a conversation about something that most people may not want to talk about. I've never really been a follower. I've always been a leader and stood out and do things my way, the way that I want to do them or the way that I feel is best. And this is one of the things that I feel is best to talk about right now on today is about taxes and how it involves us, how it includes and deals with us financially as a community. So if you've ever been a part of me or part of my circle or whatever, you know Simon walks to his own beat and I choose to lead. Can I follow? Yes, I'm a great follower, but I definitely love to lead and point people in the right direction. And on today, this conversation about taxes is the right direction to go in. A lot of people may still actually owe taxes from last year and may have not done their paperwork or got the information taken care of. And we're getting ready to come up on another tax season where people are getting ready to file their taxes. And so we need to make sure we know what we're doing and why we're doing it and the importance of it. So the conversation of taxes when you're young, it's not really discussed much, and we don't understand the importance of why we file our taxes or why we pay income tax, and should you be paying income tax, and if you should, how do you handle that? What are the things you should be looking for? And maybe you shouldn't be paying taxes, and if you shouldn't be or you feel like you pay too much, what strategies and options do you have to help you improve in that area so you don't pay so much in taxes? Because when you pay taxes, you are giving up your liquidity, you're giving up your wealth, you're giving up your money, you're giving up your profits. And in some cases, it may not be necessary for many people. Now, we always hear these different stories about wealthy people and how wealthy people don't pay a lot in taxes based on what they make. But what we have to remember, there are tax laws, there are tax rules that people follow, that they're educated on, or they hire someone who is knowledgeable in that area. And because they're knowledgeable in that area, they are able to help that person, whether they are wealthy or whether they are, middle America, whatever it is. They hire people who are specialists in that area to help reduce the amount of taxes that they pay. So let's look at a little history of taxes in America. Let's see if I can set this up properly. Y'all be patient with me. I am challenged, technologically challenged. There we go. Let's see here. I think this is it. Okay, I think this is the one right here. I had the first one right. Okay, this one is from like 2017. Okay, here we go. What you need to hold, Doc? Just let me know what you need to hold. It's gonna come with like 12% interest. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as you can flip it and bring me something back, you're more than welcome to hold. Yeah, we can work something out. All right. When we look at this beautiful subject of taxes, brief history. I'm gonna act like I'm a historian, but I'm really not. But it says in 1862, the U.S. government initiates a progressive federal income tax to offset Civil War expenses. It levies a 3% tax on income between $600 and $10,000 and 5% on incomes over $10,000. So back in 1862, if you made over $10,000, it was only 5% on incomes. Interesting. What is it now? Of course, it is so much more. So when we look at this, basically, from my understanding, it's saying in 1862, you're looking at Civil War issues. There's fighting going on. So to offset the cost of the war and the fighting, there were taxes. So Americans paid taxes to help support the war. I like 1872. 1872 looks real nice to me. You know why? Because it says in 1872, taxes were repealed. And that's a real short sentence. There's not much to say there. I don't see any numbers. I don't see any digits. But in 1872, it looks like people didn't have to pay taxes. That's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong, but I like 1872. Not that I want to live back in 1872. Might not have been the best place to be for me and my people back then. But 1872, taxes were repealed. So that's a good thing. Let's see. Let's go a little bit further. 1894, short-lived comeback. But here we go. Let's get to 1913. 1913, the federal income tax resurfaces with the 16th Amendment Constitution, giving Congress, now this is Congress, this is so good. We're talking about elections, we're talking about voting and all this other stuff. This helps us understand. Good morning, Anitra. Happy to have you tuning in. Everybody that's tuning in on this morning. Giving Congress legal authority to tax income. This is so interesting. I don't like 1913 too much right now. 1913 does not look favorable for people who have income that is going to be taxed. The federal income tax resurfaces. Now, we saw back in 1872, tax was repealed. 1913 resurfaces. Tell me, y'all, if you're listening in on this morning, which one you like better? You like 1872 or you like 1913? Now, depending on your nationality, some people are going to say, I don't like neither year. Good morning, Mickey David. Happy for you tuning in. And I'm not saying far as the live-in, depending on your nationality, your culture, but far as the tax issue, which year y'all like, 1872 or 1913? And all I'm saying, y'all, is we have to look at this whole thing about income tax. It was initially put in place to help offset the war, the cost of war, the Civil War. And what you have to ask yourself, and I'm not a historian, why was the Civil War even fought? Who was the Civil War against? Does anybody, I wish we had some historians in here, does anybody know why there was a Civil War? I'm with you too, Doc. 1872 looked good to me. Why was there a Civil War? This is so interesting. Civil War, let's see what year the Civil War was. I wonder if the Civil War was around 1862. Can somebody Google that? Can somebody look up when was the Civil War and why was there a Civil War? While we're looking that up and somebody's doing some homework, the federal income tax resurfaced. It popped back up. You know, you get rid of certain people in your life, or you get rid of certain situations and you're happy to move on, and something resurfaces, it pops back up. Tax wise, 1872. Whoo, Anitra just made a new word. So yeah, tax wise, 1872, we like it better. But blacknically speaking, she doesn't like either. They said to preserve slavery, 1861. And so Civil War, 1861. Me too. So Daniel's with me as well. When we look at this 1872, it's beautiful. Do you know that in America, like America, why did America break away from, what is it, the British? I need some historians on here. Why did America break away from the British? What is the word I'm looking for? We came here as colonists and we wanted to have our own in America and be able to grow our own and all of that. But why did we break away? Why did we fight against it's called the American Revolution. Okay, it's starting to come back to me. Why was the American Revolutionary War fought? Here we go. So we get some history in here. We talk about financial literacy, but we also talking about some history. I appreciate that, Doc. 1861, 1865, Civil War. And in that war, we're talking about, you know, the whole subject of slavery, the North versus the South. And, you know, when you're talking about the South fighting to preserve slavery, you know, we're talking about money there. We're talking about money right there. And so when we look at the American Revolutionary War, why was that war fought? What were they trying to make the colonists and people in America do? We got 1913, income tax resurfaced with the 16th Amendment, giving Congress legal authority to tax income. In other words, it gave Congress on a federal level permission to tax our income. Revolution was caused by the British trying to impose. Doc, you almost made me throw this thing in my hand. You're right on top of it. Revolution was caused by the British trying to impose stricter tax laws on the people in America. We're talking about a war over finances. We're talking about a war over taxes and a higher entity trying to create and impose taxes on people in America. This is getting deeper. I'm not going to go too deep. But they found a cause and a reason why they should put up a fight to preserve their money, to preserve their finances, because they realize that these taxes could make or break them financially. These taxes could have an impact on their financial success in the present and in the future. Yes, Anitra, it came down to the coin. Tell your neighbor it came down to the coin. It came down to the coin. People were fighting over money. Whether you look at the Revolutionary War, whether you look at the Civil War, there's a lot of money involved and there's a lot of fighting involved. So just keep that in mind. Now, I don't want to go too deep into all of these different things that happened. 1953. We look at 1953. Look at this. The former Federal Bureau of Internal Revenue is renamed. In other words, 1953, it was rebranded. It's called Internal Revenue Service. We still know today. Anitra, I wish Sam was listening in. If Sam was listening in, I'd try to send her a link so she could come on here and talk to us about taxes. But I'm scared to hit her up at the last minute. I don't know. She might be involved doing something. But anyway, it is renamed the Internal Revenue Services we still know today. And in other words, in my neighborhood, we call the IRS, we call them Uncle Sam. Somebody else may have another name for them. But it feels like, it's interesting, when you have to pay the IRS and you have all these different taxes you're paying, you're randomly giving money in taxes. And some people will say it's your civic duty and all this other different reasons. And I'm not arguing neither here nor there on today. But I do want to talk about the subject of taxes and why we have to pay attention to this subject of taxes and how it can affect you if you don't pay attention, and how a lot of wealthy people are very creative how they approach and attack the subject of them paying taxes in a way that they can pay least taxes as possible annually, because it can affect the productivity and the growth of their net worth, their wealth, their generational wealth, and the businesses and opportunities that they are able to create by strategically understanding and learning tax laws, rules, and regulations according to their situation. So if there are tax laws, rules, regulations, and things out there that will allow you to pay less in taxes, it is beneficial for you to do a deep dive and research and find those things out so that you can preserve your profits. You work too hard, ladies and gentlemen, year round, just to give away money that you don't have to give away. I don't care if it's $50 or if it's $10,000. If there are rules and regulations, we as a people have to get educated and learn what's out there that can work to our benefit. So they rebranded and they called themselves the IRS, Uncle Sam. Doc says the wealthy do not mind spending money on hiring a tax attorney. Yes, because who they hire is going to save them way more money than the cost of what it took for that person to work. So it's worth the investment to hire an expert to save you the money so you don't have to spend it. So you can spend a little money on an expert, or you can pay a lot of money to the government. Now, when we look at how much taxes collected, now this is interesting. Let's see if I can get this thing to the right measurement. Now, when we look at this pie chart, it shows how much taxes, the percentage of taxes paid in different areas in America. Payroll tax, 35%. But when you look at the right side, the blue, individual income taxes, this was 2016. 17. 47.9% of individual income taxes were paid. 47.9%. Doc says, as we say, the government. Yep. Other taxes, 5.6%. Look at this down here in the green. Look at that in the green. Corporate income taxes, corporations, corporate income taxes, 9%. 9%. Good morning, Vicky Billingsley. Shout out to my Alabama people that are on here watching. Individual income taxes for the average person, 47.9%. So the individual income taxes where the higher percentage of people paying taxes are. And then you got excise taxes at 2.5%. Payroll taxes, the Federal Insurance Contributions Act, we know FICA. Y'all know exactly who FICA is. Well, y'all don't know FICA, but y'all seen FICA take some money from you before if you worked the job. Payroll taxes. FICA requires withholding Social Security and Medicare from an employee's wages. Employers must also pay a matching amount of the amount withheld. Corporate income taxes are taxes owned by businesses and firms based on their profits. I wonder if corporate tax means like Amazon, Tesla, and a few other places. Excise taxes, taxes paid when purchases are made on specific goods, such as gasoline. Excise taxes are often included in the price of the product. There are also excise taxes on activities. So when you look at this chart, corporate, 9%, income, 47.9%. All right, I'm going to jump off of that. Let's see, stop sharing. And this is a good conversation to have. Sometimes talking about taxes it's not always exciting. Sometimes it can be a little boring, but it's a good conversation to have so that you can understand what's going on in America. So we see income tax plays a big role in America. It brings in a lot of money, guaranteed income to the government. Now, here's what's interesting. Here's the interesting part for me. Okay. You work, you get paid, and you pay taxes. Now, your taxes do go to things as an American or as a citizen. They go to certain things that you benefit from. Some people do pay taxes. Some people don't have to pay taxes. For me, I don't get upset whether someone has to pay taxes or whether they don't pay taxes. It really doesn't bother me on a level where I get frustrated. If someone follows the tax laws, rules, and regulations, and because of that, they don't have to pay taxes, then they follow the rules and regulations. So it only makes sense to follow the rules and regulations. Now, one thing I will say, and I agree with Doc, is pay yourself first. Don't rush to pay the government and everybody else and not pay yourself. So there has to be, when you're talking about financial literacy, you have to learn how to pay yourself first. And so when we look at the subject of taxes, we have to understand that the government wants income that you worked hard for. The government takes our taxes to pay off certain things. The government may take your income, the tax on your income, they may take it and pay off certain expenses, bills that they have, debts that they have. You know what's interesting about this is, let's say the government takes our income taxes and they pay their debts that they have. Well, when you have a debt, if you borrow money, who pays it? When you borrow money, who pays your debt? When you swipe your credit card, who pays it? Well, when you swipe your card, you probably have to pay your debt. You have to pay your own debt. But when the government borrows money, they look for the people to pay it. And so this is interesting. It's so interesting. It's like it's like correct, correct, Doc. Anitra says trigger warning. If I borrow money, I have to pay it back. And what I don't understand is I didn't borrow that money that they borrowed. I don't owe it. But yet and still, they look for you and your tax income, that tax that they take to pay their debt. I believe if you borrow the money, you should have to pay it back. The Bible says, owe no man anything but love. So if you borrow the money, you need to pay it back. That way you don't owe anything. But anyway, as we look at this, I think it's important that we really take it serious with the subject of taxes and learn what are your tax breaks, what are your benefits there, how can you increase the chances of you having the opportunity to use more of those tax laws to your advantage to save you money. That's correct. We have to learn the rules. It's so important to learn the rules. And some people don't realize there are some things that you have. There are some receipts there that you have. There are some actions that you take throughout the year that you could have the opportunity to have more tax benefits. You can implement some of those tax laws to save you money. And so the wealthy people have creatively, year after year, decades after decades, generation after generation, have creatively found ways to not have to pay as much or any taxes at all. I'll give an example. There's an article that talks about Elon Musk and how he can creatively not pay taxes because he may have a certain amount of shares in Tesla. And of course, those shares are worth however much money. Well, and I'll just leave it. I won't even say Elon Musk. There are a lot of wealthy people, and what they can do, ladies and gentlemen, is they can borrow against their asset. A lot of wealthy people can avoid paying taxes by borrowing against their asset. Doc says, with all thy getting, get an understanding. What does it mean when I say wealthy people can borrow against their asset? What is an asset? To keep it simple, an asset is something that allows you to make income. Assets bring in green. Assets bring in money. Assets can be a money-making machine. A dividend stock can be an asset. Real estate with tenants in it, whether it's short-term rental, long-term rental, can be an asset. And so wealthy people are able to borrow against their assets, their stocks, their shares, their investment properties, their real estate portfolio. Wealthy people borrow against. And so when you can borrow against your asset, anytime you take out a loan against an asset, you must understand the power of that. And you must also understand what that means for you to do. That means we need to focus more on acquiring assets with our money. How can wealthy people acquire more assets than the average person? Well, if you're not paying thousands of dollars in taxes, you can also then take that money, because you're not paying so much in taxes, to acquire more assets year after year after year. That's why it's important that we learn these tax laws. Learn these tax laws so you can preserve and protect your money, and then take that money and put it in different tax shelters, places that allow you to use the tax laws to your benefit so that you can save money. I'm going to get with one of my friends. Her name is Sam. She has her own tax company, and I'm going to have her come on here and talk about taxes in greater detail I won't do it today because it would just be surprising her at the last minute. So I'll schedule it so that we can get a good understanding and education when it comes to taking a deeper dive on taxes. But I'll give an example, and then I'll tie it into some of the political issues right now. But for example, let's say I have a real estate property and the property is worth $500,000. If the balance on that mortgage, let's say I only owe $100,000 left on that mortgage, but the house or this investment property, because I wouldn't want to do it on my house. Let's say on this investment property, it's worth $500,000, but the balance on it owed is only $100,000. That means there's about $400,000 in equity in that property. So someone who owns this asset can borrow against it. In other words, they can pull out some equity in the form of a loan. And so let's say they get a cash out refi and they pull out $100,000. So now that loan would be $200,000 because they owed $100,000, but then they just pulled out another $100,000. So now the balance is $200,000. And of course, the tenant in that property would still continue to pay that mortgage because as you rent out that property with a short-term, long-term rental, whichever one, when you get rental income, you'll use that money to pay that mortgage balance. So when that person pulls out $100,000 out of that property, they got a loan against their asset, but that is not a taxable event. So anything that I say on here, make sure that you go do your own research, make sure you go do your own homework and get with a professional to verify so that whatever decisions or moves that you make, it benefits you and it's the right thing for you. And so if I were to pull $100,000 out of that property, it's not a taxable event. Now I have $100,000 liquid and don't have to pay any taxes on it for that year. And I can live off that $100,000 that day, go on a spending spree, or go buy another asset with that $100,000, another property, and make it cash flowing as well. And so wealthy people can borrow against these assets and not have to pay any taxes on it. And so you can report no income, although you pulled out $100,000 or millions of dollars. Wealthy people have assets that are worth millions of dollars. So they're able to pull out millions of dollars against those assets and not be a taxable event. And so I'm not saying that's the only way not to pay taxes. What I'm saying is there are so many different creative ways that you can reduce the amount of taxes that you pay, or get it to the point where you don't pay any taxes at all. But you have to get with a professional, get with your tax advisors. Those of you who do have a tax professional that helps you right now, you need to not just schedule an appointment when you're ready to do your taxes. Don't just schedule an appointment when you have your W-2s ready, especially those of you that have businesses, LLCs or S Corp, C Corp, sole proprietorships. If you have a side business or things that you do, you need to go lay it out in front of your tax professional and find out what else is it that you can do throughout the year to reduce the amount of taxes that you have been paying. And when you find out that you can do a few simple things to maybe save you an extra $2,000 or $10,000 in taxes, whatever it is, whatever profit is there that you create from listening to this and taking the extra incentive and guidance to go chase down your money, I want 10% profit. That's not asking too much. I want 10% profit. But it's funny when we look back at the subject of what happened in the history of taxes in 1872 when the taxes were repealed. There was a time where people didn't have to pay taxes. And what's interesting is you don't have to live in 1872 to not have to pay taxes. It was repealed in 1872. It was implemented back in 1913, but you can follow tax laws and rules to find out how to live in an 1872 mentality when it comes to paying taxes. That's what I want. I want an 1872 mentality when it comes to paying taxes. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. I'm probably going to be on for maybe another 8 minutes and I'm going to get off. But I just want everybody to understand and open up their eyes. And while you're tuning in, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training on YouTube. If you're listening on Facebook, make sure you share, comment, and all that good stuff as well. But always subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is growing, where I put more content out throughout the week as well. But I want everyone to live in an 1872 mentality. As you're tuning in on this morning, put 1872 mentality. I'm going to make that a t-shirt. Anitra, get on it. I need that t-shirt ASAP. And so why? Because taxes were repealed back then. And from my understanding, repealed means repealed. I could be wrong. But anyway, I even thought about this, and I'm kidding. Has anybody watched that TV show called The Umbrella Academy? It's like a TV series on Netflix or somewhere. It's called The Umbrella Academy. And the Umbrella Academy, sometimes they like go back in time and all of that, and they fix stuff. I need the, yes, Shirley Fraser, 1872 mentality. I got my people listening in. Shantae, Allen. I want to have you on the show too, because Mrs. Allen, you make you make different items, and I think I saw it on Facebook, some of the things that you make. So I want to have you on the show as well as an entrepreneur, so you can also advertise and showcase what you make in our community as well. And I can't remember all of the stuff, but I did see some of the stuff you make. So in the comment section, just write something. Was one of them a book bag? I can't remember, but I saw some nice good stuff you were making. I think kids were getting ready to start school. Let me not get off subject because I'll go there. Anyway, so 1872 mentality. I got a lot of people tuning in. 1872 mentality. And so the Umbrella Academy, okay, some people have seen the Umbrella Academy. I will, Miss Vicky, I'll make sure I get that done. And so I was talking about the Umbrella Academy. I'm sorry, y'all. I'll be all over the place. My brain running. They would go back in time and fix stuff. I need them to go back to 1913 and reverse this thing, fix it. And also, anybody ever watched the movie Back to the Future? I would do my impersonation, but I'm not going to do it. But Marty McFly and I forgot the rest of the crew, they need to go back to 1913 and flip this thing back. But because the Umbrella Academy and Marty McFly and that beautiful vehicle that they had that would break down, I felt like when I was younger, I had like a vehicle like that. It works sometimes and sometimes it don't. But anyway, they can't go back and fix that stuff. So what we have to do is take the initiative and learn these tax laws, rules, regulations, get with the right people. It's cool to get a friend to do your taxes and possibly save you some money, but it might be some stuff that they don't know. Doc know what I'm talking about. The flux capacitor. Yes, we need to get that fixed. We need to get the flux capacitor fixed so we can get back to 1913 and the DeLorean. Look at y'all. Y'all old. Y'all telling y'all age. It's cool. Y'all keep talking about all these old people that know the names and the specifics of this movie. Telling y'all age. That means y'all about 50 years old if y'all can remember all of that. But anyway, that's none of my business. So we've seen these different pie charts. We see what the Congress decides. That's why it's so important that as you go into this season and all this different stuff that's going on in politics, is so interesting because taxes are one of those subjects where this person is going to implement this type of financial proposition, and this person is going to implement this when it comes to taxes and the back and forth of it all. And to get clarity and understanding on what all of that means. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. And that's your prerogative. That's your decision. But I need you to personally educate yourself. Everybody that's listening to Coach Steele's finance training, I want you, no matter who is in office, I want you to personally educate yourself on taxes concerning you, how they affect you. Because you better believe those at the top are definitely doing research and trying to find out how taxes and the laws and the rules that are getting ready to be implemented or that are already in place, how they are going to affect them. Because they're going to make sure, wealthy people are going to make sure that they pay least and less amount in taxes as possible. They're going to find the right tax shelters and make adjustments. See, that's why we have to be careful. Anytime there are new laws or things or propositions are put in place to try to make more people pay more taxes, then they'll just adjust and move their money in places to where it benefits them. So certain things sound good, but it's not always going to be effective. And so I'll give an example. One of the things that one of the politicians are saying is if somebody has over $100 million in assets or value, I believe it's net worth, I don't want to misquote anyone, then they could potentially have to pay taxes on not their capital gains, but on their unrealized capital gains. In other words, they want to implement a rule that even before you actually put those capital gains, even before you put that profit in your hand or in your bank account, at that point it's unrealized. It hasn't happened yet. But they want to implement a law or rule that even those taxes, not even those taxes, but you can be taxed on your unrealized capital gains. It's like if you had a stock and it increased in value, before you sold the stock to receive your value, you could be taxed on the potential of that money that you can make. So it's interesting. And so, of course, that's only for people who make, I think their value or they make well over, I think, 100 million. So when you look at that in the grand scheme of things, you find out that there's only maybe about, I think it's a small group of like maybe 10,000 people that fit that bill. So that tax law or rule is not going to affect the majority of the masses immediately. It's only like maybe 10,000 people, from my understanding. But also when you think about it, you never know if they're going to keep it at that amount or if they'll keep, reducing that amount or whatever. But whatever it is, always look at all the rules and laws and see, does it even affect you? If it does affect you, you need to make adjustments. If it doesn't affect you, then you might not even need to worry about it. Regardless, you need to make personal adjustments. Doc said, that's my net worth, speaking it into existence. I know that's right. What's interesting is so many of us are talented and blessed and gifted out there that a lot of you have multi-million dollars ideas in your mind, in your head. And it's just about bringing them to the forefront and executing them and making them tangible. A lot of us are so smart and so gifted and talented that if put in the right environment, you would be able to produce millions and millions of dollars based off the gifts, talents, and skills and ideas that you have. So it's a matter of just getting it from here for many people to actually making it tangible. And each and every person can do that. And once you do that, just know the government is coming to collect some taxes on that stuff that started here. And so we have to protect ourselves. If wealthy people are protecting themselves against taxes, we have to protect ourselves as well. And part of that is educating yourself, getting the right information and knowledge. And I am going to make sure I get someone on here who is very responsible, certified, and educated, and a professional to give us more information about taxes and the things that we can do. And even as someone who is a business owner or desiring to be an entrepreneur or business owner, whether it's sole proprietorship, whether you got an LLC, whether it's a C Corp, S Corp, whatever it is, There are so many other tax laws and rules that open up for people who are in business, whether you're self-employed, whatever it is. You need to dive in there and see what is in there for me because I fit this bill. And if you're only, simple, your taxes aren't complicated and you're just a W-2 employee, you still need to find out what benefits are there for you. What are some things you can do to protect your money? What rules and regulations are there for you just as a W-2 employer so that you can reduce the amount of taxes that you give Uncle Sam? I don't care even if you figure out that you've been overpaying in taxes. Some people like to overpay in taxes because then they feel like, well, at least I get something back. But you have to think about it. What could you, even if you overpay in taxes and Uncle Sam held your money for you, Uncle Sam is going to make some money off your money while the IRS holds it for you. What could you have done with that money that you overpaid? Could you have grown it? Could you have put it in a high yield interest savings account? And that's on a low, simple level. Could you have done that? Could you have reduced one of your bills or debts that you owed? Could you have put an extra payment towards your mortgage to knock it out faster? There's a lot of things you could have done with your own money. So I'm not telling you not to overpay, Uncle Sam. Do what you want to do. But what I'm saying is I would only rather have to pay just enough if I have to pay. And the rest of it, I would want in my possession so that I could flip my money and make the most of it as opposed to somebody else holding it. Because if you really just want somebody to hold your money for you and then give it back to you later, then just give it to me. So I can go buy some real estate or something with it, and then I'll give it back to you with my profits or passive income or something like that. If you just want the same amount right back, even no profit. Because that's what the government's going to do. They're not going to give you any profit on your money. They're just going to give it right back. I'll just give it right back to you as well. But I'm going to work with it. Or you could take it and make a profit with it yourself. And what's interesting, and I'm going to make a video about this, so make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, guys. I was telling everybody about this high yield interest savings account, and it's exactly, we want 12%. No. Uncle Sam doesn't give 12%. So those who are just giving Uncle Sam their money and getting it right back, I want that same grace. I want that same love. I'm going to see if I can find this link and put it in here. But I've been telling everybody about this high yield interest savings account, and I'm so pumped up about it for a number of reasons. Yes, there are different high yield interest savings accounts. There's so many different ones that you can get. And the one I did recently join and became a part of, they were like, oh, you get 4.5% interest. There are some that are giving 5% interest. And I'm going to tell you why I joined this one as opposed to one that was giving like 4.9 and all of that. Now, keep in mind, guys, when you get a high yield interest savings account, as the feds lower the rate, then it's possible that high yield interest savings account might reduce. Like they may not give you the same amount as before. So it may get lower. Actually, I think that link is already up here. Let's see. Yeah, I may not be able to share this link with y'all. Yeah, I think it's already in my description on the Facebook page, and it's in the description on the YouTube channel. So if you click that link and you get a high yield interest savings account with that bank, I think the interest rate right now is at 4.3%. But they have certain stipulations and rules that if you follow them, they'll give you $300. And so I'm so hyped up because I joined them like a month ago and I already got my $300. So that's why I joined them. Like, yeah, there's some that are doing 5%, 4.9 or whatever. But in less than a month, they didn't have a $300 guarantee. So I joined them and I met some of their other requirements that they had. And because I met those requirements, not only am I getting the 4.3% interest, but I just got $300 in my high yield interest savings account in addition to what I put in there. So even a higher rate somewhere else within the first month wasn't going to give me an extra free $300. It was free. And so I'm going to do a video and I'm going to show it. That way people can see the bonus that I got, the $300 bonus that I got, because I met their requirements to make the extra money. And I think they give you some more money just for signing up as well. So I think they give you like an additional $25. So definitely click that link in my description on the Facebook or go to my YouTube channel under this video and click that link. That way we can make some money with this high yield interest savings account, and maybe you'll get that $300 too. Maybe you'll get more, but it definitely worked. It was true, and I got the money, and I'm going to make a video about it so that everybody else can potentially get this money. Imagine like 1,000 of us go get this $300. What's 1,000 times 300? 1,000 times 300. That's $300,000. Oh, that's a lot of money. What if only 100 of us go get this $300? That's $30,000. There's a lot of money out there. You know what we can do with that money? Y'all can give me that money. We can go get some real estate, and we go make 12% profit annually. So as we move together as a community and as a unit with Coach Steele's finance training, there's a lot of power in numbers, but we have to know where to move our money and how to have a voice for ourselves as we move our money strategically in a community or as a community of people. And so there's a lot of free money out there. That's just a $300 example. I'm going to show some other examples where there's $400 you can get for free, $200 you can get for free. I'm going to show you how to creatively leverage what you have and get money from the banks to benefit you instead of trying to be loyal to a bank that doesn't give you anything. We're going to leverage these banks to make money and put money in our pockets. I believe that information is valuable. People leverage life insurance policies to get non-taxable income. And so if you don't understand that or know about it, get with a professional that can give you more information about that. Do your research. But I want everyone to shift their mindset and change their mindsets about their money, to change their mindsets about acquiring assets. That way they can leverage them and enjoy certain benefits and tax benefits that come along with it. And lastly, before I get off, guys, I'll leave you with this. If you have a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, a 15-year mortgage, 20-year mortgage, whatever it is, and you are tired of paying that monthly payment on that house, and let's say you have other consumer debt with it, whether it's car notes, credit cards, personal loans, student loans, you name it. If you're sick and tired of paying that at the pace and the system at which this financial institution has in place for you to pay, when it comes to a mortgage on a property and you're tired of giving that extra money and paying all that interest to a bank, then you need to connect with me, and I will show you a creative way to pay your mortgage and those other debts off at a faster pace. It's called accelerated banking using the HELOC strategy. And so you have to be educated properly on these things to be able to have financial success, to be able to have good success. Never be intimidated or allow pride to get in the way of you learning something, because there's something called opportunity cost, ladies and gentlemen, that when you miss that opportunity, it is going to cost you. For example, if you leave your money in a savings account making less than 1% interest, when all you had to do was switch it over to SoFi by clicking the link and set up an account for you to make 4.3% and potentially get an extra free $300, then you missed out on potentially hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, depending on how much you would put in that account and how much money you would make. Opportunity costs. Same thing here when I talk about being able to pay off your mortgage and those other debts. By taking the long way around the mountain, you waste thousands of dollars around that mountain that you throw away, that you could have put back in your pocket to help you build up your net worth, your personal wealth, your profits, and eventually also your generational wealth. This is Coach Steele's Finance Training. I love each and every one of y'all, and I enjoyed having this conversation about financial literacy and talking about these taxes and having an 1872 mindset